the moment. When Interpol released the results of Operation First Light on July 9, 2026, with 5,811 arrests across 97 countries, $293 million intercepted, and 142,000 victims identified, the sky over the organization's Lyon headquarters carried the precise signature of a global reckoning with deception. The planets did not cause the crackdown, but the same underlying patterns that describe law enforcement confronting fraud at scale were pressing down on that July afternoon with unusual clarity. The announcement chart shows Virgo rising. Virgo is the sign of meticulous analysis, exact documentation, and public service. This is not the chart of a dramatic raid. It is the chart of patient forensic work made public. The midheaven, the point marking institutional authority and global standing, falls in Gemini, the sign of communications, commerce, and cross-border exchange. Everything about this operation was about following the flow of information and money across national boundaries. The chart says exactly that. But the heaviest signatures were building for months before the announcement, and they traced the operation's own timeline with remarkable precision. On January 26, 2026, Neptune, the planet that in mundane astrology governs deception, illusion, dissolved boundaries, and the falsifying of identities, entered Aries, the sign of direct, pioneering action. 3 weeks later, on February 14th, Saturn, the planet of state authority, law enforcement, borders, and structural contraction, followed Neptune into Aries. 6 days after that, on February 20th, the two planets made an exact conjunction. The enforcer and the deceiver occupied the same degree of the zodiac, in the sign that demands initiative. This was the sky under which Operation First Light was actively running its arrests. The specific cases Interpol dismantled read like a catalog of Saturn-Neptune themes. Consider the most surreal detail in the entire operation, a full replica of a Brazilian police station built in Eswatini, complete enough to impersonate federal police. This is almost a literal illustration of the conjunction, the institution of legal authority, Saturn, fused with imitation and false appearance, Neptune. Official impersonation fraud in Macau carries the same signature. Romance scams that prey on longing and trust operate in Neptune's territory of dissolved boundaries and emotional manipulation. And the Thai crypto laundering wallet that moved $122.5 million in 10 months adds another planet to the picture, Uranus, the ruler of technology, digital currency, and sudden acceleration. Two eclipses bracketed the operation's active phase and amplified its themes. On February 17th, an annular solar eclipse at the final degrees of Aquarius, the sign of networks, collective action, and technology, disrupted the archetypal field of global coordination. 3 days before the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, this eclipse fell across the sign of networked systems. On March 3rd, a total lunar eclipse at 12 degrees Virgo, the same sign as the announcement chart's rising point, illuminated the meticulous analytical character of the investigation. Eclipses do not cause events. They function as intensifiers, marking periods when underlying patterns break through into visible reality. The operation's results, announced 4 months later, were the visible harvest of these pressures. The cyclic index, a composite measure of global planetary tension that rises and falls over decades, stood at 828 on the day of the announcement, rising from a recent low of 754 toward dispersal. In plain terms, the period carried enough collective tension to produce real institutional disruption, but was not at a historical peak. This was a focused, purposeful reckoning, serious and consequential, but not a civilization-shaking upheaval. What it touches. Interpol was founded on September 7, 1923. Its birth chart carries the organization's natal Mars, the planet representing its enforcement capacity, its ability to pursue and act. On July 9, 2026, transiting Uranus, the planet of sudden shocks, technological disruption, and revolutionary change, sat in an exact square to that natal Mars. The orb was 0 degrees. This was the single tightest transit to Interpol's founding chart, and it says plainly that the organization's enforcement arm is being jolted into a new era. Uranus was in Gemini, the sign of communications and commerce, when it made that square. The meaning is concrete. Interpol's traditional methods of pursuit and arrest are being disrupted, challenged, and electrified by the speed and nature of digital crime. A crypto laundering wallet that cycles $122.5 million across borders in 10 months is not something the organization's founding generation could have anticipated. The transit says Interpol is catching up painfully, productively to the technology of the crimes it must fight. Additional transits to the founding chart reinforce the picture. Transiting Saturn, the planet of state authority and structural contraction, makes awkward quincunx aspects to both Interpol's natal Sun, which represents its institutional identity, and its natal Jupiter, which represents its legal and financial function. A quincunx is a 150-degree angle that demands adjustment between domains that have no natural relationship. The interpretation is that the scale and nature of this operation are pushing Interpol beyond its established self-conception. The organization is being asked to become something its founding charter did not quite anticipate, a global financial crime enforcement body, not merely a coordinator of cross-border fugitive alerts. Transiting Neptune and Pluto both make quincunx aspects to Interpol's natal Mars as well. Neptune governs deception, Pluto governs organized crime, deep finance, and the hidden architecture of power. Both are adjusting awkwardly, necessarily, to the organization's capacity for action. The criminals' methods are morphing, and their financial infrastructure is deepening. Interpol's enforcement arm must reach into territory, digital wallets, fabricated police stations, romance scam networks operating across continents that older policing models never touched. The announcement chart's Sun at 17 degrees Cancer carries a protective, domestic quality. Cancer is the sign of homeland, borders, and the sheltering of ordinary people. The 142,000 victims identified by the operation, most of them individuals defrauded through intimate manipulation, are the human meaning of that placement. This was not merely an institutional victory. It was the assertion of protective authority over the lives of common people scattered across 97 nations. The moon in the announcement chart sits in Taurus, the sign of resources, money, and material security. The public mood at the moment of announcement was focused on financial security, on the tangible question of what was lost and what was recovered. The moon's tight semi-square to the mid-heaven, a 45-degree angle of friction, and the closest aspect in the entire chart, says the public is in a state of irritation with institutional authority. The public demanded action. The announcement is the response. How it rolls forward. The weeks following the announcement carry some of the most significant outer planet alignments of the decade, and they point in a clear direction, but not without complication. On July 18th, Uranus forms a trine to Pluto, a 120-degree harmonious aspect. Technology flows into the disruption of organized crime and deep finance. The digital enforcement tools used in Operation First Light, blockchain tracing, cross-border data sharing, the identification and blocking of 31,014 bank accounts will expand and find new targets. The cooperation between technological capability and financial investigation is entering a productive phase. 2 days later, on July 20th, Jupiter, the planet of law, banking, and the courts, makes two aspects simultaneously, a trine to Neptune and an opposition to Pluto. The trine to Neptune suggests that legal frameworks are beginning to flow effectively against fraud, that courts and banking regulators are finding ways to penetrate the fog of digital deception. But the opposition to Pluto is a direct confrontation. Oppositions are aspects of open conflict, not quiet adjustment. The criminal networks whose infrastructure was dismantled will not simply accept the loss. Watch for retaliatory cyber activity, for legal challenges to the account freezes, and for the exposure of complicity within banking systems that enabled the laundering in the first place. The total solar eclipse on August 12th at 20 degrees Leo deserves particular attention. Leo is the sign traditionally associated with France, Interpol's host nation, and the location of its headquarters. The announcement chart's Jupiter sits at 2 degrees Leo, and this eclipse falls in the same sign. Eclipse in the sign of a nation bring that nation's affairs into sharp focus. Something will be exposed or asserted. Watch for a major French-led initiative, a structural change at Interpol's Lyon headquarters, or a high-profile case connected to the operation that lands in French courts. The partial lunar eclipse on August 28th at 4 degrees Pisces carries a different flavor. Pisces is the sign of the sea, of dissolution, of things that slip through nets. A lunar eclipse here, an exposure of what was hidden, may mark the moment when laundering networks that escaped the operation's first sweep become visible. Not every fish was caught in the net. Watch for follow-up operations or the surfacing of fraud networks that adapted faster than the investigators anticipated. Through September, Neptune and Pluto maintain a sextile, a 60-degree harmonious aspect that repeats throughout this period. The meaning is double-edged, and honesty requires acknowledging both edges. Deception and organized crime are deeply intertwined, and the tools that expose one can expose the other. But the same easy flow also means the criminal networks are cooperating and adapting across the same channels. The investigation is not finished. The data gathered, 142,000 victims, 31,014 blocked accounts, 5,811 arrests, is intelligence, not merely evidence. It will generate new operations. Summary. Operation First Light's announcement fell under a sky where the archetypal forces of law enforcement and deception had just collided head-on in a once-a-generation Saturn-Neptune conjunction in the sign of direct action, while Interpol's own enforcement capacity was being jolted by an exact technological shock transit, and a series of eclipses had illuminated precisely the territory of networks, analysis, and national authority the operation occupied. Watch for follow-up digital enforcement operations as the Uranus trine Pluto of July 18th puts technological tools in productive harmony with the disruption of organized finance. Watch for pushback from disrupted criminal networks because the Jupiter opposition Pluto of July 20th is an open confrontation between legal authority and deep finance. Watch for a major French-led initiative or structural change at Interpol's Lyon headquarters, since the total solar eclipse of August 12th in Leo, France's sign, falls directly on the event chart's Jupiter. Watch for the surfacing of laundering networks that escaped the first sweep, because the partial lunar eclipse of August 28th in Pisces exposes what slipped through the nets. Watch for Interpol's institutional identity to shift permanently toward financial crime enforcement, as transiting Saturn's quincunx to the founding sun demands that adjustment. And watch for the 142,000 identified victims to become the basis for new intelligence operations, because the Cancer sun in the announcement chart makes protection of ordinary people the enduring meaning of this operation. The reckoning with deception is not a single sweep, but the opening of a new chapter, one in which law enforcement and technology must run at the same speed as the crimes they pursue. Recent history and where this is heading. Operation First Light doesn't stand alone. It lands under a rare slow planet pattern, Saturn conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees Aries, a once-in-a-generation alignment that tends to fuse structural authority with the dissolving of illusion. When state power meets the dismantling of deception, fraud networks feel the weight. That same backdrop quietly colors stories that look wholly unrelated: financial purges, ideological shakeouts, institutional reckonings across continents all share this weather. The symbolism suggests the pressure deepens through summer. On July 20th, Jupiter opposes Pluto, an aspect that tends to mark open confrontation between expanding law and concentrated hidden wealth, so the pushback from disrupted networks may sharpen. Then on August 12th, a total solar eclipse at 20 degrees Leo falls across France's sign and the event chart's Jupiter, resonating with potential structural shifts at Interpol's Lyon headquarters. The wheels keep turning beneath the headlines. The same slow currents driving this crackdown also shape the wider season of exposure. What looks like separate stories often shares one sky. Before you go, if this reckoning has stirred something in you, whether you have felt the sting of fraud yourself or simply carried the weight of knowing how many ordinary people across 97 nations did, you may want something more personal than a headline. The pressures we have just traced will keep unfolding, and they will touch individual lives as surely as they touch institutions. Our annual transit forecast maps the year ahead with the same patience this investigation required: monthly themes, key dates, and the long arc planetary shifts that shape what comes next. It is where the collective meets your own chart, and where the currents of exposure and protection find their personal meaning. If you would prefer a different kind of mirror, one that asks no birth time but meets you exactly where you stand, our Tarot Standard reading with the problem or solution spread uses 5 cards to name a situation honestly: what it is, what caused it, what help is near, and how to move toward resolution. For anyone carrying the residue of deception, or simply wanting to understand what protective steps the coming weeks ask of them, this spread can bring fog into something you can hold and work with. Both readings are available at Occultique whenever you are ready to sit with either. Seeker, I have drawn 5 cards from the Smith-Waite Standard deck, laid out in the Problem/Solution 5 cards spread for Saturday, the 11th of July, 2026. The question tonight is not private but public. How do we read Interpol's Operation First Light with its 5,811 arrests, $293 million intercepted, and 142,000 victims identified, against the chart I read earlier where Saturn met Neptune in Aries and law enforcement collided head-on with illusion? The moon is last quarter in Gemini today, a sky for release and reassessment, and Mercury is still retrograde in Cancer until the 23rd, so this is a moment for review rather than fresh signatures. Keep the mood surgical, not oracular. Steady hands cutting away what does not belong. The problem, 7 of Cups. Here we meet Venus in Scorpio, desire dragged into hidden depths. Operation First Light surfaced exactly that: romance scams, a fake Eswatini police station, a $122.5 million crypto wallet, all of them holograms promising what they can never deliver. The 6 of Swords beside it is the ferry that carried these illusions across borders. The cause, 6 of Swords. This card carries Mercury in Aquarius, intelligence moving fast through networks. Fraud spread because crossing became effortless. Data, money, and stolen trust flowing across 97 borders like a ferry on calm water. It bridges the 7 of Cups' illusions and the resolve of strength. The same route serves both crime and correction. The solution, strength. Strength is Leo and the Sun. Controlled fire, not a club. The answer is disciplined moral force. The patient forensic work Virgo rising and the Cancer Sun demand, not a lunge. It receives the 6 of Swords' network intelligence and turns toward the 9 of Cups reversed, warning that victory must never slip into self-congratulation. Help/resources, 9 of Cups reversed. 9 of Cups reversed is Jupiter in Pisces, a wish that looks full but leaks. Legal and banking help exists, yet the August 28th Pisces lunar eclipse warns that much still slips through. It follows strength's discipline and feeds the 7 of Swords reversed. Use the tools, but do not mistake a pause for a win. Likely outcome, 7 of Swords reversed. The 7 of Swords reversed is Moon in Aquarius. Secrets moving through networks now turned upright by exposure. Expect further confessions and follow-up sweeps as the July 18th Uranus trine Pluto tools keep biting. Yet the card's older warning, good advice neglected, says some networks will adapt faster than the investigators. Summary. Taken together, these 5 cards trace the same pattern the chart described, a reckoning that is real, necessary, and incomplete. The 7 of Cups keeps offering false cups. The 6 of Swords carries the traffic across borders, and strength must hold the line without turning cruel. Let the response stay sharp and self-aware, because the 9 of Cups reversed reminds us that a sealed win is not yet a full one, and the 7 of Swords reversed warns that deception simply changes its mask. Deception adapts, so must the response. Stay steady, Seeker.